Hello everyone, welcome back to Imperium. So last time we learned the creation and deletion of the database. We also learned the creation of table. We learned the insertion of data. We learned retrieving the data and deletion of the table. Today we will learn the alter table statement and the constraints of the database which are commonly used. So first alter table. Firstly, I'll use the database Imperium. After this, we will create a table. Let's say student. We will create SID, int, his name, will take marks, contact number. Note that I have used the numeric for contact number because if we take int, it only allows you to insert 8 integers or 8 numbers. So that's why I have used the numeric data type. And now we'll create this table. So if we want to see the output, we'll just we can see the table has been created. Now we will insert some values in it. So let's say, or before inserting, let's say that we want to add another column. So like you have two options: either drop the table, create a new table with the column that you have forgotten now, or use the alter table query, which will add the new column at the very end of the table that you have currently created or are using. So what is alter table statement or alter table query? So it allows you to add, delete or modify columns in an existing table. So we have created the table student. Now what I have to do is add a column. So what is the query for adding the column? So it is alter table, then table name, which is stud for student, then add column, then add column name. So that is, it will be add column name. So here we want to add address. So we want address of the student, and if you just run this query, it won't work, because when you add a column, you also need to give the data type of that column. So I'll just give the data type as text. Now I can see there is no errors displaying on the screen. We'll run it and the query has been executed successfully. So now if we select from the student table, we can see that the address column has been added. We will insert some values in it. Insert into stud values. Note that you can use this format to insert any values. That is, you can write the data in this circular brackets, or there is another way or another syntax in which you add the column names before inserting the value. So it is like insert into student, then you add the column names, that is SID, SName, SMark. Remember that when inserting the column names, you don't add the data types in the insert query. So you just give the column names. So this last contact number and address. So after this, you can just close the circular bracket, then add your values in this, or add the data in this. We'll go first, roll number 10. I'll take name as ABC. After this, you can see we have marks, contacts, and address. For marks, I just put 80.5 because we have taken the data type as float. The contact number numeric will go, and then for the last is address. You just type in Pune. Now you can run this query, the values will be inserted, and if you want to insert multiple values in a single line, you can just copy this much, the data between the two circular brackets, paste it, like you have to separate it with a comma, paste it and change the inputs as you wish. Turn number as 46. If you run this, you can see the query has been executed. After selecting, you will see two rows. So this is one form to insert your data. If you remove this, there's no problem. See, if you remove this values, student values, and if you enter this data, so I'll change the numbers so it won't be same. I'll keep it Mumbai. You can see it doesn't matter if you use this syntax or this syntax. So this is used for the user's understanding, so he doesn't forget which column name is first or which column is first. So if roll number is first, or the ID is first, or the name is first, so for that purposes this syntax is used, and there is no specifics to it. So if you drop it, it is no problem. Now you can see there are four rows here. Now if we have to delete a column from the table, so we saw the adding of the column, now it's the deletion of a column or dropping of column. For that you have to type the alter table query for dropping column. The syntax is alter table, table name, then we have drop column. You can see that while adding we didn't write add column, we just wrote add and column name, but while dropping we have to add the word column, so it's alter table student drop column, then column name, so it is address. You can see that while adding we had to give the data type, but while dropping we don't need to specify the data type. After just giving the column name, you can drop the column. Now if we check the table, you can see the column address has been dropped. So it has also updated the entries that were inserted into the table. Next is modifying a column. Let's say that you just wanted to keep the marks in integer. What would you do? So you have inserted four values. This is easier because it's only four values, but in industry there are thousands of values inserted. If you delete the table, all of that data will be gone. Then you will have to do all that work over again, which will waste a lot of time. So for that, there is alter table modify column query. So the syntax is alter table name and modify column, and column name you will take as marks, and the data type which you have to change. So like now it is float, but I have to make it integer, so I'll type int. You can see the marks I had inputted was 80.5 and 78.5, but they have been changed because the integer doesn't take the decimal points or the decimal numbers after the point. That's why we can see the change or the updated version of the student marks. So this is how the modify column query works with using alter table. Now we will look at constraints. So there are many constraints in the SQL, but commonly used there are uh, seven constraints that are commonly used in the SQL. We will now look at them. So now we have not null. That's the first constraint. So it ensures that a column cannot have a null value. So basically, if we go in this table, so if we put not null in front of this while creating the table, not null in front of this student ID, what will happen is, so the table will not allow the user to keep the student ID blank, or you can say that it is mandatory to fill in that column, that is the student ID column, or it will not accept the insertion operation only. That is how the not null constraint works. Second is unique. So what unique does is, it, let's say you put unique. So what it does is, it doesn't allow the same entries or the same data to be inserted. If I put, if I insert 45 as the student ID again, it will not take that data, or it will not insert that data, because the 45 student ID already exists in the table. If it's a duplicate ID that we are inserting in the table, unique will not allow the insertion operation in the table. Next we have the primary key. So primary key is easy to understand because it is the combination of not null and unique constraint. So basically, when using primary key, the column or the element, which let's say we use primary key. So now student ID cannot have a blank space, which is, it is mandatory to have some data, and the data that is inserted in the student ID could not be duplicated or repeated in another insertion operation or in another data insertion. Let's say we have given the 20 ID for the name EBC, and if we try to give the 20 ID again for the name MN, that is the second student, we are assuming, if we do this, it will not allow the insertion operation because the table already has an entry with the student ID 20. And the not null part does is, if we just leave it blank, let's say we just left it blank like this, it won't allow it because it needs some data in that column. Next we have foreign key. So the foreign key is used to join two tables. So you can use the table or the element of one table into another. For example, we have a parent table as a person. Let's say create table person. We'll add person ID and we'll add person name. Text. We'll create the table. Okay, sorry. Note that the foreign key works only with the elements which are given the constants unique or primary key. So which means there shouldn't be duplicated data in the table in that particular column. So that's why foreign key only works with unique or primary key. So I'll give primary key to person ID. Now I will select this, run the command. So now we have created the table person ID, and now we are creating another table which is the child table. So person is the parent table and let's say order is the child table. Person table order will go order ID int will go order date, and then let's say we have to take the percent ID or use the percent ID in this order table. So person ID int. Now there are two ways to use this. So first you can just go is references table name, that is person table, and then what element are we referencing? The person ID. This is one way to use the foreign key, or there is another way which is the preferred one, that is you just keep person ID int, you separate it with the comma, then you type foreign key in bracket, which key is the foreign key, that is the person ID. So we have given foreign key to the person ID element, and now references to the table and the column. Now we'll run this. As you can see, the query has been accepted. This is how you use the foreign key. Now we will see the check constant. So what is a check constant? It ensures that the values in common satisfy a specific condition. So let's say we will take the table person only. First I will drop the table. I have dropped it. See, this is another example. You cannot drop the table person because we have given foreign key to the orders table. So first we have to drop the orders table and then we have to drop the person table. For this, there is another query. It's called as on delete and on update cascade. I'll show you. First, I will drop the orders table. So you drop the table, and then when here you can give on delete and on update cascade. That is on. So what this does is, so I'll just add key person ID person ID. So this is the cascade. This is the query. So this on delete and on cascade means that if you delete any data or the entry of a particular ID, let's assume ID number 3. If you delete that ID 3 from the person table, the other data that is inserted in the orders table, including the person ID 3, will also be deleted. That is the meaning of on delete cascade. And on update cascade means if you make changes in the person ID 3, all those changes will be reflected in the orders table related to that person ID 3. Now we will see the check constraint. So here we have person age int, and now we can insert the constraint check. We will, the syntax is, we have to separate it with a comma. We'll go check, then circular brackets, and we will add a condition to the particular column that we want to uh, put. Then we will add a condition to a particular column. So let's take age. We'll take person age, and we will put the condition of the person age should be above 18. So this will be greater than 18. So this becomes a use of check constraint. We can also take it as less than 18, not equal to 18. So that's just changing the operator. It's less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. There is not equal to. Well, note that not equal to can be written in both forms. This is the first way to write not equal to. The other is this two angular brackets. This also means not equal to in MySQL. So basically, this is the use of check constraint. The next is default constraint. So default sets a specific value for a column. So let's say we have given a column address, and we are a company that resides in India, and we haven't been international. So when taking application forms, we can just set the default value as India in the address or location, as you can say. So if we go here, if we create table info, we will add ID, we will add name, and we will add the country here, text. Now we can set default as India, as because it is text, I will write it in inverted comma. So India, close. So now if someone while entering the information doesn't add the country, the default will be India, that is the country we have set will automatically be inputted in that table. So if we say we'll create the table, so now you can see that the table has been created. What happens is it doesn't work for the text data type, it only works for the varchar data type. That is the default constraint. That is it for this lecture. Thank you, and if you have any doubts, please add your comments. We will try to solve it as soon as possible. Thank you.